Hello, my name is Masha, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to make a linked loop. This video is sponsored by Flexispot, more about them at the end of the video. The technique for the linked loop allows you to make a loop on a pattern that you can't make a regular loop for. If you look closely at my strings, you will notice that my dark pink or sort of purple strings are all on one side. Same for the orange strings, they're all on one side. And the yellow strings and the lighter pink strings, they're all on the other side. In order to make a regular loop, the strings have to be balanced. So for each string that you have of one colour on one side, you have to have another of that same colour on the other side for the loop to work. But with a linked loop, that is not the case. So let's dive in. The linked loop is great to use when patterns have an even number of strings per colour, but those colours aren't balanced. What I mean by that is when you split the pattern right through the centre, there are more strings of a colour on one side than there are on the other, hence it is unbalanced. You can also use the linked loop technique in combination with other techniques, such as just cutting off an extra string off the back, to create loops for bracelets that have an odd number of strings. However, as I said in this tutorial, we're going to be looking at patterns that have an even number of strings per colour, but the colours are just unbalanced. The linked loop is definitely more of an advanced technique, so if you're just starting out, I would recommend starting with a basic loop, for which I also have a tutorial, which will be linked in the card and in the description. And going into this tutorial, I expect that you already know the basic knots and have experience with making basic loops. Before you actually start making the loop, make sure that the pattern that you're making it for is actually unbalanced. There are some patterns that are balanced, but they disguise themselves as unbalanced patterns, and let me explain exactly what I mean. If you look at the first row of a pattern, it might seem that it is unbalanced, because there are more strings of one colour on one side than there are on the other side. But if you look further down within that pattern, you might notice that on a row 6 or row 12 or whatever, the pattern actually does become balanced, and you have the same number of strings per colour on the left and on the right side. And since there are no rules saying that you have to start from row 1, you can absolutely make a regular basic loop and start from the row that is balanced. Same thing for making a triangle end after a loop, for which I have a separate tutorial, which will be linked in the card and in the description. This is even more of an advanced technique, so definitely watch that video first before trying to understand what I'm saying here. But if you are trying to make a triangle end after a loop and you decide to start in one place, you might notice that it is unbalanced there, but if you then decide to cut the bracelet in a different place, you might notice that, well, in this part of the pattern, it actually does become balanced. It's more of a situation of where are you trying to start your bracelet to make sure that it is or isn't balanced. But in any case, even if your pattern is balanced and just in disguise, maybe you want to start it at the place where it is unbalanced. Or if you actually do have an unbalanced pattern, the technique is pretty much the same. I'm just saying that you could have a look and maybe realize you want to start in a different place, and that kind of saves you the hassle of doing this technique. Alright, so all that being said, let's actually have a look at how to do this technique. So once you've decided where you want to start, identify the strings that need to be balanced out. So some of the strings in the pattern will already be balanced, they will already have a pair on the other side. And by that I mean have a look at which colour has more strings on one side than on the other. And out of those strings, which strings don't have a pair on the other side. So for example, if you have a pattern, we've got 4 strings per colour, and 3 of them are on the left and 1 of them is on the right. Out of those 3 that are on the left, only 2 need balancing, because the third one already has a pair on the right, being that 1 string. So 1 string folded would account for the 1 string on the right, and 1 of the 3 strings on the left, so only 2 of them need balancing. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's have a look at the pattern that I am making. If I were to start at row 1, which I'm not going to do, I'm actually going to do a teardrop loop, but that's more complicated, so let's first look at row 1. If I were to start at row 1, you can see that the dark pink strings are all on the left, the light yellow strings are all on the left, and then the dark yellow or the orange strings are all on the right, and the light pink strings are all on the right. So all of these strings in my pattern need balancing because none of them have a pair of the same colour on the other side. So now that we've identified which strings need pairs, let's try to find them pairs. So remember, when we are making a loop, we are folding 1 string to make 2 strings. So we have 4 strings per colour in this bracelet. That means we need 2 strings each, since we are folding those. And the principle of the linked loop is that you link a pair of folded strings with another pair of folded strings that should appear on the other side. So we have to link strings from the left to the strings on the right. To keep things simple, let's, in this bracelet, link the dark pink strings to the light pink strings, and the dark yellow to the light yellow, if I were to start at row 1. But I'm in fact doing a teardrop loop, and this is how I decided to cut my bracelet. It is still exactly the same, except some of the colours have switched sides. So the dark yellow is still on the right, but it is now with the dark pink on the right. The light yellow is still on the left, but now the light pink is also on the left. So same in this scenario, we could pair the dark yellow and the light yellow and the dark pink with the light pink, except we have to be mindful of what side they're on. So the dark pink has to be on the same side as the dark yellow, and the light yellow has to be on the same side as the light pink. Hopefully when I start to demonstrate this will make more sense. Let's actually have a look how to do this. So once you've decided which pairs of strings you're going to be linking, cut the strings that you need. So in my case, with 4 strings per colour, that's going to be 2 strings per colour folded. And to link the colours together, you simply fold them over each other like so. So here we've got the dark pink string and the light pink string. Just fold them together like so. And that makes them linked. Make sure that they are linked together, hence the name. Do this for the rest of the strings. So the other dark pink string with the other light pink string, same for the yellows, the dark yellow with the light yellow, and so on for however many pairs you need to link. That connection between the 2 pairs of strings, that kind of link area, will be the tip of your loop. So if you have strings that you don't need to link, that you just fold normally, make sure that the tip of the loop of those strings meets the tip of the loop of these strings as well. And that's really it. At that point, you just start making a basic loop as normal. I prefer to tape my strings down because that is just easier for me, and I just start making my loop. In my case, I don't have any of the same strings on the left and on the right side, so my loop becomes a split color loop. I've got one color on one side, so I do half of the loop, and then I flip the bracelet and I do the other half of the loop with a different color. I think it looks really cool, and I actually really like it. And you can do this with regular loops as well, by the way. You don't have to use this technique to do a split color loop. You can just do half of the loop on one side, flip, and then do half of the loop with a different color on the other side if you want to. But I'm kind of forced into this position here because I don't have strings of the same color on either side. And again, if you do, so if there was a string that you didn't have to link and you just had to fold, you can just do a single color. So it works both ways. You can do double colors on regular loop and also single colors on linked loops if you have a string of that color on both sides. And there you go, that's really it. This is what the loop turns out looking like. I think it is super cute. I like it a lot. And this is a really fun way of starting a bracelet with a loop that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. And just as a reminder, as I said, in combination with other techniques such as just cutting extra strings off of the back, you can use this technique to create loops for nearly any pattern, even patterns with an odd number of strings. So let your creativity run wild. And now that we've learnt how to make a linked loop, let's talk about the sponsor of today's video, Flexispot. You might remember about a year ago in another vlog, I did a room tour right after I moved into this new flat. And back then, Flexispot sent me a standing desk, and I've been using it ever since. It's absolutely amazing, I love it, and I recommend it to this day. So when they reached out and asked me if I want another desk, I had to say yes, and that one now belongs to Thomas. The EF1 desk is a standing desk with a height range from 71 to 121 centimeters. It has a single motor that lifts both legs of the desk at a speed of 25 millimeters per second, and it is super quiet. It's under 50 decibels. The legs are reinforced, which stabilizes the desk and prevents shaking, and it has a weight capacity of 70 kilos. The keypad shows you what height your desk is currently at, and it also has the up and down buttons and the memory presets. So you can choose the height that fits you and achieve that height with just a press of a button. The desk also has an anti-collision detector, which will prevent it from bumping into things accidentally. Thomas has been using the desk for a while now and he absolutely loves it. Flexispot is the top standing desk brand in the UK. Check out the link below to get a desk of your own. Thank you to Flexispot for sponsoring today's video. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer as many as I can. Before I go, I also want to give a special shout out to my patrons and especially my top supporters. Thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. If you also want to become a patron and support the work that I do on this channel, feel free to sign up through the link in the description. But in any case, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I will see you in my next video. Bye!